Okay.
Tira,
You want to lead off, Steph?
Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight for our train wreck site working group. Tonight is an exciting night because we have a whole bunch of new people joining us. So I was wondering if maybe we want to just take a few moments and do a round of introductions. So actually, I'll stop screen sharing for the moment so we can see each other. If you're able to turn on your video and join us for the introductions, please do. So maybe I'll call off names and then you can just go ahead and introduce yourself and say a little something about yourself and why you're excited for the project or whatever comes to mind. So Tira, would you like to start us off with introductions?
Sure. My name is Tira Penn. I'm the Director of Planning and Development for the town of Thompson. So it was, I was the one who wrote the proposal that brought the student team in, and also wrote the grant application that enabled Steph and Elizabeth to be our partners for a couple of years while we work on this train wreck park project. And yeah, I do a lot of work to make things happen for other people. That's my job.
Excellent. And I'll just go clockwise on my screen up to Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Provost. I'm a member of the Thompson Trail Committee and the Thompson Historical Society. I've been doing some things with the train wreck site. I actually wrote the on the Historical Society. We have a web page with a little article that explains the site, and also have some pamphlets down on the trail that I designed that and working with that.
Hey, we'll hear more about Paul's work tonight, actually, when we get into the agenda a little bit. So then maybe go over to Elizabeth.
Yep, I'm Elizabeth. I'm with the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program, working with Steph here in Boston. And we are supplying technical assistance to Thompson this year on helping this train wreck park site be realized. And so that's really where this working group and this workshop has developed from.
Great, thank you. And Karen?
I'm Karen Durlak, and I'm chair of the Thompson Trails Committee. And I would like to just say that I'm real happy to be working with UConn again. We've done several successful projects with them. And my husband's on another computer, and that's the feedback. I'll mute.
Thank you, Karen.
It's ruining my sound.
Looks like we still have a little
Here I am.
feedback going on.
You were on there before.
I can mute it. I can mute David.
No.
That should do it.
All right. Over to Sean now.
Hey, I'm Sean Doolittle. I'm one of the students involved in the project at UConn. I'm a senior in civil engineering. I'm excited about the project because I use the airline trail a lot, so
right now.
I'm excited to contribute to it.
I'll call you when I'm done.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See, Lucille, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Lucille Langlois, and I'm actually part of the trail committee. Have been doing the trail stuff for many years, but this is the first meeting that I attend with the train wreck park. I'm familiar with it, but this is the first that I attend. So I'm anxious to hear, what the students have come up with. Like Karen said, they've done wonders for us already. So I'm all ears and all eyes. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Joshua?
Hey, I'm Joshua. I'm also working with UConn for helping with the park designs project, and I'm definitely excited to work on it just because like I like hiking, so like it sounds like fun to just be working on this project, and most of my like expertise just like helping like parks and recs activities really.
Excellent. Thank you. Brian?
There we go. Hi, this is Brian LaFrido. I am on the Trails Committee, Economic Development and Branding. Moved here 6 years ago and just got interested in trails. I've always loved to hike, and I learned about a year, 2 years into here about the moving here about the train wreck, and it was just such a unique site and project that was so overlooked, other than what little bit is posted on the board over there. It just seemed like something that needed to have more development and provide publicity to draw people here and teach them about the site and hopefully help them learn about our little corner of the state. And I'm a grad from UConn, so thanks guys for helping out.
Great, thank you. Joseph?
Yes, Madame. Historical Society person. I like history. It's not every town that gets a 4-engine wreck from 1891. I like to celebrate that. Not that the 3 people died. They are legendary. They're part of the great Halloween ghost tradition. And that story has lasted for a very long time. So I'd like to throw that part of the story into this trail as well. So I think it's a great story, and I'd like to see the story better told and have a trail associated with it.
Great, thank you. Shalini?
It's Shalini.
Shalini, thank you.
My name is Shalini Shial. I'm also part of the UConn group. I'm senior in civil engineering. I'm really excited to see more about the site and what the community wants to do with it. And seeing how close it is to October, I would love to hear more about that ghost story.
You got it. You take a time.
We're gonna get spooky.
Bore you with it. Give you more detail.
All righty, over to Rebecca.
Hi all. Yeah, so my name is Rebecca, or you can call me Becky. I am with UConn, a senior studying civil engineering, and I'm really excited to work with this team and y'all to see what your vision and your intention is, so we can help with the design of that. And I used to dance in Thompson pretty much every day of the week, so I'm pretty familiar with the area. So I'm really happy to be on this project. So thank you.
Awesome, welcome. And David.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, David.
Okay. I'm with the Trails Committee, and I feel that the train wreck is a very historical, important event that happened in the United States, and it shouldn't be kept a secret as it has been. So let's get it out there.
Excellent. And last but not least, Charlie.
Hello, I'm Charlie Obert. Moved to Thompson in 2005. Been using the airline trail for recreation mostly since then. I have to say I went past the train wreck site about 20 times and didn't even know that it was there or any significance about it because it's basically overgrown. I became involved with the Trails Committee and also with Economic Development and the Historical Society. And I ask a lot of questions and make a nuisance of myself, but I also try to help out.
Excellent. All righty. Did I miss anybody? Everyone had a chance to say hi?
I think you got everybody, Steph.
Okay, excellent. Then I will share my screen here and go over to the agenda. Okay, and you too can follow along in here if you'd like. I believe we sent out the link earlier. So feel free to jump in here, or I'm just going to show it on the screen anyway. Alrighty, so just wanted to say congratulations on our train wreck music video that came out recently. So for the UConn students and newcomers tonight, we actually did a songwriting competition once COVID started back in March to kind of engage folks virtually on the train wreck site. And we did a contest, and 4 folks submitted original music, and we chose a winner based on votes. And that winner created a music video for the train wreck site, and it is now live on up posted on Vimeo, so you could check that out sometime if you like, and hear an original song about the train wreck trail. Alrighty, so congratulations. It is exciting. Any quick updates or announcements before we dive into work that we had for tonight?
Well, I guess I'll just mention that I'm still not submitted that proposal to ERTD, but I'm closing in. We've got 5 towns committed as funding partners to submit against the match. Essentially, I know that ERTD is going to fund this proposal. I just need to get the proper amount of base funding to make the full match happen. So I just need one more town, or a combination of airline trail towns that add up to $3,000 in funding. And I'm just about there. So hopefully soon, fingers crossed. The proposal is done. It's just the funding.
Fingers crossed. Yes, that'll be excellent. All right, and we can talk more about that too if you'd like, Tira, at our phone call in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
All righty. Then I think we'll dive into our design drawings for today. So before I get too deep into kind of design proposals, I just want to make sure I have everyone's wish list items. So this link in here in the agenda, especially for UConn students, you can kind of see the work, the great work that's been done so far for the train wreck site and the tri-state marker. So the Trails Committee put together this information about what exists there now, and also what.
Oh, Steph, you froze up. I'll take it from there. So what's there now, and what has been proposed as a long-term plan, the thing that says train wreck park-like setting down there, phased-in approach. That's something that Charlie and Joe Yamartino worked out. Over here, where you can see the color photos, I believe that is the Pomfret Pavilion. Is that right, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, Pomfret. As a potential model for something similar at our site, and that's the actual depot where the trains they crashed. And you'd never know from looking at those pictures that that is what was there. You know, it's young woodlot now. I mean, it looks like forest, but of course everything in New England is young woodlot because they cut down all the old growth. Yeah, so here's pictures of the trail as it exists, and that was all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Great historic photos. And this map in here actually covers the area of interest that we are looking at. And so let's see if I can just pull this up so you can see it better. Da-da-da. There we go. Yeah, so you'll see on this map kind of the areas that we are looking at. On this one is included the train wreck site, where folks enter the Airline State Park Trail now. And then across the street is the Airline State Park Trail, which will take you to the Tri-State Marker, which I believe is one of the most popular sites along the Airline State Park Trail now. And it's where Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut meet. So that's a one that people seek out to go on to. And existing now at the Airline State Park Trail access point for the train wreck site is a kiosk and some information, but we'd like to kind of enhance those features and make it more accessible. So I would just say, if I don't have your information in this folder and you would like to submit something for consideration, please let me know and I will add it and take a look for you. And go back to today. Any thoughts about wish list items or things to add to the folder before I talk about kind of a phase 1 approach? All right, I will get to it. So can everyone see this image of the Airline State Park Trail?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Great. So this is.
So Steph, before you proceed, this is new stuff that you and Elizabeth have worked up for this meeting. Is that correct?
Yes. So this is something I put together, this presentation, based on what I was seeing in the wish lists and the work that's been kind of proposed. I took a look at it and then made some very quick kind of proposal ideas. So I welcome all feedback on this tonight. And we can just talk about how we feel about some of the things going forward. And I just want to make sure that I have my information correct. So please jump in at any point if you have any comments. That would be great. And I just want to make sure I'm capturing all of the right information and the proposals that have been shared so far. So I can walk you kind of through what my thought process was here. And this is the existing entrance to the train wreck site today. So you can kind of see it's along this bendy kind of quick moving road, East Thompson Road. You can also see a kiosk there. And then there's some kind of loose parking on this gravel surface here. And there is the kiosk up close, and that is the Airline State Park Trail on the right, as it exists today. And these are from our site visit back in January. And so looking at what you folks shared with me, I thought there were some really interesting ideas, and I just wanted to try and break it down into kind of like a phased process, kind of based on the phases that you all had already, basically to get quicker, easier results that kind of result in more excitement up front that you could then build on. And then to do that, I thought it might be helpful to focus on everything that the town owns first, so that public land, and seeing what we can do on public property first before looking into private property. My thought there was that if you can build excitement on the public property, then it will be easier to access that private property and consider things like easements and maybe acquiring private property down the road once you have a little bit more momentum with the public property. And also thinking about creating a welcoming, safe place for families and people of all ages and abilities to come, feeling like they have arrived somewhere. And then creating that sense of place, because Thompson has such a unique story and history and culture. And I think it'd be really cool to celebrate that in the Trainwreck Park. And then also curb appeal. So this is along a busy-ish road. So if you can get folks to see something that encourages them to stop and take a gander and get out of their car, I think that could be really effective. So this is kind of a very conceptual type of sketch, but basically this is an image of this entryway kind of reimagined in a sketch. So the main ideas here that I was thinking is creating that pedestrian connection. Right across the street is the tri-state marker. So this is the airline trail basically crossing the road, and how can you make that really safe for people who are walking or biking? So I imagine a crosswalk might be really helpful. And there's all sorts of different designs for that, but maybe a lighted flashing pedestrian crossing could be a kind of effective and lower cost option there. Also, because it is along kind of a busy road, keeping some sort of visual cue that pedestrians will be walking and moving through this area for cars that are passing. I was thinking maybe some native plantings around the corner, which will make it attractive and provide a little bit of protection. Also maybe a sort of fence or protective barrier could be helpful in just adding another layer of protection to help kind of slow cars down. And that way it would be safer for pedestrians as well. The other item that I took out of the wish list was the parking for about 20 cars. So if we can fit more cars in this space in kind of like an orderly fashion, that way we can get some good trailhead parking. And putting an ADA parking space would be great as well to create that access. Also for elements to kind of welcome folks to the space and to the trail, was thinking putting a gateway sign. It could look like this, it could look different, but just something so that folks know they have arrived somewhere, they're welcome here. This is a kind of a fun, exciting place to be. So there are lots of different options for gateway signs, and we talked about that too in the signage and wayfinding workshop recently. But this would be one way to kind of welcome folks to the space and make it feel special. And then also putting that kiosk, kind of similar to the one in Pomfret that Paul shared, right up front so folks can see it from the street and be intrigued as they drive by. And that could have info, it could have benches right nearby, a bike rack, maybe potentially tools to fix and work on your bike, porta potties. So there's no electricity at the site, but there are some options and some amenities that we can install here to make it feel welcoming and fun and provide information for folks. So any thoughts on this so far? Any comments or feedback?
I'd be particularly interested from hearing from our student team here, just their early impressions, since this is starting to get into exactly what we'd be looking for from them.
Yeah, this sketch is really good. It's starting a lot of ideas off in my head. Definitely gives me a better idea of where you guys want to go with this project. Because that was a key piece we were missing up until this moment.
Yeah, I also say that's definitely detailed enough just so we can see what the general concept that we're going for is, just focusing on welcoming people more than just like providing like more like parking for like a car. You want to make sure that people are actually going there, and that also like have like a nice boundary that's also just like meant to slow down cars as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Josh. I really like the ideas with the planting buffer and the pedestrian crossing. I think that just makes it all the more safe and welcoming for them.
I have, I guess, a question. Are you hoping to include like restrooms in that kiosk, like little hut area as well? Maybe like more specifics of like maybe what to be included. And then, yeah, I agree. This is really, really helpful. And maybe we'll discuss this later, but also like in terms of like design and like features to be included, I don't know, it might be helpful if we know a potential budget to work around as well. But this looks really great.
Hi, this is Karen. I just want to let you all know that we did have the highway department paint a pedestrian crossing recently, but we haven't had any feedback yet about whether that's helping. And the other thing that we did is we have had a porta potty there over the summer, and we don't really have any feedback from the supplier about whether it was overused, well taken care of, but that's kind of information we'd probably want to get.
Great.
This is Charlie. A couple of quick points. One is that it would be extremely helpful for this Yukon team to be in touch with CONDOT and DEEP. They are coming to the conclusion of a $6 million worth of upgrades to the airline trail through Pomfret, which includes a significant bridge over the top of Route 44 and 169 will be lowered in place sometime during the month of October. All the abutments, all of the other work has been done. And when a comment came up a moment or two ago about what is the budget, I think that there is the point that we need to consider. It is the state's project. It's a regional project, and they have resources that the town of Thompson does not. Now, having said that, I have already been on record as advocating for a bridge that will span East Thompson Road in that area that we're looking at on this drawing as the safest way to mitigate hazards to pedestrians and bicyclists. That I believe is something that the state probably already has in their toolbox, but we haven't been able to get a meeting with them since COVID hit, and they haven't replied to me. So I said I ask a lot of questions and I generally make a nuisance of myself. I am of the opinion that we should put those things into the project and let them tell us, no, you can't have it. Also, even just looking at this, we can see what a visual representation does to excite the imagination. And if we can put in all of the things that we would like to see for pedestrian safety as a welcoming center and so on, we're more likely to get at least most of them, or I'll say half of them. And the last point is, I was recently at a state management area in Rhode Island, and I saw that they have outhouses with solar panels on them. I didn't go into it to find out what they are using the electricity for, but it does represent an option. Our ranger from Deep said that there would be no electricity in the project. We are thinking that he was probably saying they're not going to run in electrical service. And so these are things that our Yukon team should put on their list to ask and to get some additional information before they zero in on what we see here. What we see here is fine, and if we're only the town of Thompson doing it, I have no problems with it. But I still think it's only looking at, it's not considering the regional impact and the impact of the East Coast Greenway as part of this. And we absolutely need to. If we walk up and say, no, we're not going to get it, we're not going to get it. But if we walk up and say, I want this, and look at how great it will look, and look at how good it will be for the state of Connecticut and the town of Thompson, we're more likely to get it. So I'll let other people tell me I'm crazy. It's happened before.
I have another question. Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, thanks. So I see the car parking, and then I know someone had maybe mentioned people bike in this area. So is that something else y'all would look for, is like a bike rack or some place to put those up? I can't tell, like, I'm not familiar with this area if people bike a lot around here or not.
I'll say yes, that's definitely something we'd like to add. And I would put it, when I redo this drawing and clean it up after tonight, I would put bike racks in here for sure.
So that question about bicycle use, this will be a link between the Blackstone River bike path, which runs from Worcester to Providence, and the Airline Trail East Coast Greenway in Putnam. So it's part of a very significant regional project.
This is Paul. See, this is Paul. If you look at the pictures of the Pomfret station, they actually have a nice bike rack that's like right on the foundation of the facility.
Yes, they have a great photo. I'll find that now.
Yeah, right there.
There you go.
So something like that looks like it would work. You know, most of the time you're probably just, you know, you're not going to leave your bike there. You're going to be there taking a break or you know, looking at information.
Mm-hmm.
In that photo that we just looked at, in the background, you can see the heavy equipment that they use for building the abutments at the bridges. Any of you that have social media, there's a Facebook page called Friends of the Airline Trail North, and there are photographs in there recently, an update of status. They have removed all that big equipment and gone further towards us, where they're building another abutment. And, you know, as I said, and they put in at least one significant underpass, but it's on a road that gets much less traffic than we see in our area at Sandam Road. And again, I see justification for asking for these amenities.
Yeah, that kind of related to that, the budget question. So I would say, and I'd say don't worry about the budget right now. I would just focus on what you think is important to include in this project. And we can talk about budget and get into the specifics of that afterwards. But I think if it's related to safety or accessibility or kind of building the character of Thompson into this site, then
You froze up again.
nitty gritty of that after.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
Looks like
Someone
Brian
saying.
Lafredo's got his hand up.
Hi. Sometimes I think of things that probably, like Charlie, they're probably not essential and might be in the future, but when you're brought up the bike riding, I just wanted to remind those involved that the airline trail is an equestrian trail as well. I have been at that parking lot when people have come through riding their horses. I have not ridden my horses through there yet, but if we're going to be designing a facility, we might have to consider that there will be equestrians going through that area as well.
Great, thank you for that.
This is
I have a
Joe.
question for the, go ahead, Joe, go ahead.
Sorry, I'd like to point out two topics. One, I think that the general concept where you're showing the pedestrian connection and the parking and the nice gate entrance, that's all very attractive. One of the challenges is on this bit of a dangerous corner. It is quite a traffic road, and the challenge with it is if that kiosk is pretty close to the road, you're not going to get the benefit of that peaceful, tranquil feeling that you'll get maybe 150 to 250 feet back into the trail itself. The other aspect of it is, let's assume that kiosk is back away where it's a bit quieter, and maybe there's children there and they can sit at the picnic tables and eat. The other aspect of it is that the people who come to visit that area today, many of the people who come to visit actually come to visit where the rec site is. And we have a barcoded system where you can link to all of the different known photographs of the actual rec site itself. And where you are here is not perhaps if you were further, more central to where the wreck actually occurred, you do that "you are here" thing, and you can look using your phone and see what the image looked like back in 1891. So I just wanted to point out that if you did push that actual pavilion back, it could be nice. I don't know if you're thinking of kiosk and pavilion as separate structures, but you could have a simpler kiosk to the front and a pavilion in the back that has quite a bit more data and an eating area or picnic area. That's it. That's my point.
Joe, I think that is a perfect transition for us as we talk about interpretation. So for the folks from UConn, you know probably by now that there is a really interesting story to tell here at this site about the 4-train wreck. And you actually have some pretty world-class historians working here in Thompson. They are very knowledgeable about this story, and they are actively working to collect artifacts and share information about this era of time. And so what we really want to celebrate with this site is that history through interpretation. And you'll see here, I believe it's Paul with one of his interpretive signs here. So this is a nifty kind of temporary sign used for events. And Paul, I don't know if you wanted to add anything there about the signs and the events you've used them for?
Yeah, a couple times a year, we actually have a walking tour. And Joe's, actually, we got one in on the 10th of this month, next month, October. And so as we go, we made a map with all the different photos that we had of the train wreck. And what we did is along the length of the trail where the wreck occurred, I made up these, these temporary posts with a picture that's kind of what you would see if you were at that location during the train wreck. And each one of the pictures has a little QR code that you can scan, and it would actually go to our website. And our website has probably 50 pictures of the train wreck and the the train station and things like that. So I had a dozen of these locations along the trail, and as you walked up, you could look and kind of see, and it would explain what's going on. Otherwise, you walk down a trail, you have no clue. It all looks the same unless you know there was something there.
Great, thank you. And one thing to think about going forward is how do we take those pictures and that information and all those stories and share them along the trail, especially since now it is kind of bare and doesn't have that information there. So this picture on the right is kind of a permanent version of what Paul is doing now. So this is a interpretive panel at Lake Placid, but basically it's pretty typical interpretive panel with information about what you're looking at, and it's not obtrusive, but it's interesting to look at, and it will stand up in the weather over time. So that is one thing we could consider. These are a couple other little options. So this photo in the back here is the remains of is it a turntable?
Yeah, that's the actual train turntable. They would turn the train around on.
Thank you. Yeah, so that is something that you might not notice if you're going for a run or going for a walk, but if you put maybe a little marker there, the one on the left has a QR code that could go up to a mobile website. Tour, an oral history, or just read about what you're looking at. That is one option. And then the one on the right is just a wooden post with a number 1 that could relate to a printed brochure maybe, or it could include the QR code as well, but that's just one way to approach it. So you can interpret what is there now and bring up the information. And it kind of feels a little bit like a scavenger hunt, so you have to do a little bit of exploring. And then the posts themselves can be all sorts of different styles. The one on the left could be like more modern and industrial looking, look kind of like the railroad. The one on the right is your kind of more typical rustic style. But this is just to illustrate that there are ways of interpreting what's along there now, those artifacts that remain from the era of the train. Another approach is actually doing windows that look to the historic remains. So you kind of see what was there juxtaposed with what is there now. So that way you get to really get a feeling for what that might have looked like. And it's something that will definitely catch your attention if you're running or walking by. And that's what it could potentially look like on the trail. And you could stick a QR sticker on there that can bring it up on the web on your phone. And this is just a version of that on the Manhan Rail Trail, which is in East Hampton, Mass. And this one's interesting because it puts the train where it used to be right on the trail, which is, of course, a multi-use trail now. And then I put this last example in here just to get people kind of thinking out of the box and kind of on a bigger scale. This is a recreation of a train station and really like a railway that families can go on. I've visited this one before in Skykomish recently when I was out in Washington State, and it just reminded me of this project. So I just wanted to share with you all to kind of encourage that like big picture thinking. So this one is like a recreation of the train station. There's the mini bridge on the left here. And they have even, let's see, I think I have one more photo for you. Oh, it's not in here. Okay. But you can tell it's just a recreation of the whole trail system with the train on there that people can actually ride. And it's free for families. I think I have one more photo. Yeah, so you could see here they actually like recreated the tunnels and everything like that. And so that's one other way to completely interpret the train history, is by recreating it. I don't know if there's room to do that on the Airline State Park Trail because it's kind of a narrow space, but it does kind of put the idea out there that there are other ways to interpret things that could be kind of fun and family friendly. So any kind of reactions or thoughts to those images, or anything you think we should add and include?
This is Karen. I have a question. When you drew the sketch, were you also looking at the map to know that there was room for 20 cars on that land without going on to private land next door?
No, that I actually just took kind of a guess. So there might not actually be room for 20, but I know that was the goal.
I think you'll find that first drawing that was done by Daniel Blanchette, the architectural type plate that showed the full scope of the area from Sandam Road up to the state line. And at the point where it crosses the East Thompson Road, he measured out. It was one of the first slides that we looked at. He measured out, and there's parking for at least 20 cars right there. A little more. And
it's in the wish list link, Steph, is what he's talking about, Daniel's drawing.
Yeah, okay. There. Not that one, the other drawing. That's just where the station site is. There, that one. Now, when you get to the point at the road crossing, I asked him to measure out for availability of cars, and it is on the state right-of-way. I don't know the full width of the airline trail, but I know that there was a double set of tracks through that area that and the siding. So there's plenty of land in that area for these informational displays. And right in that area, there's an arrow pointing to it. And so that, yes. And things have switched around a little bit because of trees, but so a lot of those trees have been cut out by Eversource also. There's easily parking there for 15 cars for sure. And that's just with no rhyme, no reason. They're just all over the place.
So for our UConn students, we would love to know your thoughts about how many cars you think we can put into the parking lot that's safe for folks and doesn't encroach on private property.
Yeah, so you can put that on your exploration list. I had a question for the UConn team. Individually, it's sort of related to Steph's sketch. You guys are all in the civil engineering program. Have any of you done coursework in landscape architecture or just plain old architecture? They would be relevant, I think, in some of the site design stuff.
I haven't taken landscape architecture, but I did take a site design course last semester.
Okay, cool. And we did talk to Nick Loans this morning, I guess, Steph and Elizabeth and I. So we do have a pretty good idea of what your general skill set is and what your comfort level, is assumed to be around the ideas about the parking and the more traditional engineering elements and aspects. But certainly, we want you to be able to branch out into this as much as you're comfortable.
Yeah, because mostly for what experience I have class-wise, it's mostly more oriented around like building and like steel design. So I don't have as much about like landscape architecture, but more just like foundation-based stuff and like geology.
Yeah,
Cool.
through classes and also my own personal experience before college, I have some experience with landscape architecture and design of parks and places and creating sense of place. A big thing you guys are talking about this project. So
Great.
Steph, you showed those, you called them windows. They were signs that you could see through. I'd been looking for them online and couldn't find them, but I just sent you a photograph of something that's closer to what Paul's already been doing. And it could be shared out with the team. So I just looked.
Want me to pull it up now?
You could, I just sent it over.
Might take a few moments. But if I see it pop up, I will put it up here.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay. Well, certainly we'll keep this conversation going. If you have ideas pop up, questions, we'll still be talking, and feel free to reach out. We can modify this in many different ways. Okay.
This is Karen again. I just want to reiterate our usual problems of maintenance and vandalism. And so whatever kind of structures, signage, or whatever has to take that into account.
Yes, thank you. That's a good point as well. I hear a little bit of shuffling in the background.
Sorry, that might have been me.
No problem. Okay.
I'm eating crackers.
Don't make me mute you, Charlie.
All righty. I think I'm going to pass the baton then to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, would you mind giving us an overview of the outline for our community workshop and just telling folks on the line about the community workshop and why we're doing it?
Absolutely. Assuming you all have access to the agenda for tonight. And so in it, we have a link to the outline. Yes, Steph, I don't know if you want to bring it up on your screen so we can show the group. But our intention is to hold this workshop this fall with the community to gather feedback about some of these ideas we're developing, see what people's thoughts are, if they have any additional ideas, if they feel like, what we've come up with does meet their needs as airline state park trail users, and in order to enhance Thompson as a trail town and connect the trail to some of the resources that exist in town. So that's really where this outline has come from and really what this workshop has developed from. So I will try not to dwell on too many individual points here, but hopefully this just gives you a good idea of the structure of the workshop that we're hoping to hold with the community. And please, while I'm talking, feel free to stop me at any point if you have any questions. So as we would start the workshop, we imagine obviously this would be on Zoom or some other virtual platform. Our primary presenters would most likely be Tira, RTCA being Stephanie and myself from the Park Service, perhaps someone from the Thompson Trails Committee that wishes to kind of convey the trails work and their mission, and as well as the Thompson's Historical Society. And if it does make sense to have the UConn students added into that presenter role, we would love to have you guys jump in and work with us on that too, but certainly up to your level of comfort as well. So just kind of going through some very primary objectives for this workshop. We really want to help people who are attending and sharing their time with us understand why this process is being undertaken. And really, like I said, we want people to be able to collectively share their thoughts about this site design. We realize that normally this would happen in person, but so this is sort of our virtual way of getting that collective feedback and that group workshopping element. And we want also the community and your stakeholders to really understand how rich of a community asset the State Park Trail is, as well as the train wreck site. And also to connect that idea that these sites really can be leveraged for Thompson's benefit in terms of, you know, economic thriving, cultural benefit, kind of seeing that greater picture of how all these things tie together. And really we want to give people an opportunity to generate any other additional ideas that maybe we didn't come up with as a group. Certainly you all are incredibly knowledgeable about the train wreck site as well as the trail, but you know, maybe there's a participant who has some idea that is just a light bulb in our brains that we hadn't thought of before. So we really do want to make sure the community is enrolled in that process because it'll get the community more excited about this work as well once it's realized. And then just to identify any next steps after we do this workshop. So if there's additional skills we need, if we suddenly realize that there are more resources we should seek out, we hope this workshop will kind of clarify some of that. So we imagine we would review the agenda with workshop participants and then kind of jump into more of a background. So having a member of Thompson Trails kind of talk to us and talk to the group about the user trends that exist on the State Park Trail. We know you guys have a lot of information in terms of the Connecticut Trail Census and those user counts. You know, certainly there are reports of uptick in use during COVID. So I think that really does help make the case for why this site and this workshop is quite important. And then if I'm not mistaken, I think the Trails Committee, you guys conducted your own survey this past spring, is that right?
What we've done is working with the Connecticut Trail Census.
Okay.
That is also out of UConn, or supervised out of UConn. There is a counter just north of that intersection at East Thompson Road. And I believe that they downloaded the data out of it in sometime towards the end of September. I've checked the website and it's not there yet. And I did send off an email to two people that I know who are part of that group. One of them I heard was retiring and that email bounced back, but the other one did not. So I'm hoping to have that up to the minute data, which will be on their website also as soon as it's available. But yes, we've had a definite, quadrupling almost of users over the first year that the counter was in. And it was showing a solid upward trend throughout the reports that were available. I think they must have picked it up halfway through June, because June shows lower number than May. But so I'm guessing that June will show the adjustments. July, August, and part of September will also be on that report.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah, and just like you said, that seeing those increased user counts really is for benefit here.
Last note about that is that they put out QR codes, and I helped them install some at other kiosks along the trail. So this year we didn't stop and interview people. Instead, we put out a yard sign with a QR code and asked people to reply. And I got a very favorable response from them for the number of people that have replied. It's an ongoing thing where we would go out for a few hours, and this way it's constant, and there's much more of a response than we had ever gotten on a single day of interviewing people.
Great. And so just so I'm clear, what is the nature of that survey? Is that just user counts, or is it asking people the modes of recreation they're participating in, or?
Yes, it's all of those things. It's looking for questions about where's their home zip code, how far do they travel, how often do they use trails like this, did they spend any money as part of this, are they planning to spend money, are they planning to get a meal? I don't have it all off the top of my head, but I believe it's also on the Connecticut Trail Census website,
Right.
which is, okay, it's easy to find.
We will find that. Thank you.
Yeah, that'll be great data to share during the presentation too, because it really does help bring all of this full circle about why the trail is important. And then just in terms of user trends and data, I think Stephanie and I thought that we had seen that the last Green Valley conducted a survey, and we weren't quite sure what the nature of that was or whether it would be of benefit to our presentation. But something to look into further, certainly.
I don't know the full extent of any surveys that they've done, but I do know that they're using a pretty sophisticated measurement piece of equipment that will show the pitch, the degree of slope, and that's available for people that are ADA restricted. And I believe that Leanne has completed the Thompson section, but I can't answer for that for sure, but I know that she was working on that.
Awesome. That is helpful as well. And so just to keep moving forward, we imagine that we will give an overview of what the Trail Town approach and sort of how that came to fruition for Thompson. So really what we've talked about here is just sort of connecting the trail and the amenities that exist on the trail to all the other facets of Thompson to really leverage the trail to your community benefit. So we can give a quick overview of that, and then as well as kind of reviewing who our stakeholders are. Certainly they're trail users, they're residents of Thompson. Deep, obviously, because this is a state park trail. The East Coast Greenway, who I know we are in communication with and we have some overlaps with, as well as the 12-town task force, which I guess we only convened once earlier this spring, but just that greater effort with all the towns along the trail. So sort of giving a rundown of that. And so as we kind of shift toward the train wreck history, something that we do want to think about is, in order to not capitalize and, monopolize everyone's time for an evening that they're willing to lend to us for a workshop. We want to make sure that we're as effective as possible in terms of sharing the information and the story of the train wreck. And so I know that the Historical Society folks, you have some videos that might be relevant to sharing during this presentation, just to give people a really good idea and also a visual of what the train wreck was and the site. So I think that's something we really want to think about, is exactly what videos to include and what media to include here, to get that understanding across quickly. And as well as photos and diagrams. So certainly you all are far better experts than us about what are the key photos to share with the community.
So for the folks on the call from the Historical Society, do you know of some good clips, video clips that might be good to include in the workshop? And would you be able to send those to us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes, I also have something that's in progress, but an updated report says that it should be available to view, and I will include that also. I think Stephanie and Elizabeth and Tira have seen the draft form, but we have a video photographer who also has a drone photography business, and he's been working on helping us to put together something informational on that.
Yeah, and in that same regard, I think that video would really be, some of those videos would be relevant for just sort of the trail overview and some of the user trends when we talk about that. So certainly all helpful and more captivating for our audience.
Elizabeth, this is Karen. I have a comment. I think we start this out really dry, and the really interesting part is the history of the trains. And maybe you want to start with a little something, some pictures about the trains, get people excited so they want to stay in the Zoom meeting. Maybe even starting with the song.
That's you read our minds, Stephanie. We were hoping that could almost serve as like a gathering point for before we get started, so people do have something to get excited about. But I agree, we don't want people to endure a very long intro and background before we get to the meat of our workshop. So that is definitely noted, and we will work to kind of reformat the outline accordingly. And I think as we keep going here, we'll kind of start jumping during the workshop into the design objectives and really the idea of interpretive design, as well as the concepts that Steph has developed from everything that we've heard from your wish list. So understanding that you all hoped for, a gateway to Thompson and to share your community history and sort of help. We want to convey to the community the ideals that you hope that this site can embody. So really the pride that you have in the community being extremely important. So then we would run through some of the concepts that Steph came up with, and then that would be an opportunity for people to provide us feedback about what they liked, didn't like, what they think the best parts of these designs are, maybe some of their sensory reactions. And we do want to talk to you guys tonight also about your ideas for how to make this as interactive as possible. Certainly we don't want the only point of feedback in this workshop to be once we've run through the entire brunt of the presentation and we've gone through all the concepts. So we want people to be able to interact throughout the process so that they stay engaged. So certainly we welcome any ideas on that end.
Hi, I have a very quick question. So I noticed one of your big objectives that's been mentioned a few times is that you kind of want this place to have like a unique sense of place that kind of embodies Thompson. For those of us who haven't been to Thompson or just really unfamiliar with the community, do you have any resources that anyone on this call can recommend just to kind of get a better idea of what Thompson's identity is?
I think the people you probably want to ask are the Historical Society folks, as well as I think perhaps Tira we could have a conversation about that as well. I don't know about specific resources. If you all do, please chime in.
Well, I mean, in terms of existing community character and identity, the best thing to do is just to visit. Paul, Joe, you mentioned that you are doing one of the guided tours on the 10th of October, right?
That's correct. That may be a really nice way for, them. That's a Saturday, I believe.
It is a Saturday.
So we're gonna have a little presentation there and a walk through the train site rec.
Would any of you guys be available for that?
Yeah, Joe and I are both going to be there. Correct me if
No,
I'm
I meant the students. I meant the students.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I believe so. I'm just taking a look at my schedule. Yeah,
I should hopefully be available too.
Where's the meeting location for that, Paul?
It's at the right at the site, right where you park, where all the cars would park, right there. That's where we meet, just past the gate.
Are you limiting the number of people?
I don't know, Joe.
Could I just mention a second thing before I answer that? The second thing I'd like to answer is we also have another tour the next day on Thompson Hill. So just keep that in mind as well.
Is that a different tour, Joe?
Yeah, that's the last Green Valley tour. It's kind of like the introduction to Thompson, the origins of Thompson and Thompson Village.
Great.
I have a question that just occurred to me as Paul was saying where this event is going to meet. Do we have a GPS location or a street address that's closest to that people could put into their GPS? I've never thought to identify that intersection that way.
How about 652 East Thompson Road?
Sounds like it's close enough.
Right.
This is Lucille. You have to register for some of these events through with the one with the last Green Valley, that you have to register for that because it's part of the Walktober schedule. I don't know about the one you're going to do for the train wreck. Do you have to register for that? Paul, Joe?
We have a sign-up sheet. That's all I can tell you, Lucille. When you come, we just hand you the sheet and ask you to sign.
Okay, but some of them you have to register ahead. That's for the students, so at least they'll know that they have to register.
Thank you.
Okay.
But you're saying you don't have to register ahead for the Historical Society one on the Saturday?
To the best of my knowledge, we have sign-up sheets when they come, and they sign up. on both days.
This is Paul. Joe, can correct me on the time for the that Saturday event. That's from 10 to 11.
No, Saturday, I believe is 1 o'clock, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't know that exactly, but I believe it's 1 o'clock. It's on that link. You can bring it up. It tells you when it starts.
Okay.
That's part of Walktober as well?
Yes, they're both Walktober. One's on the 10th, one's on the 11th.
Ah, okay, let's see.
And that's also just a good point about just this website that Steph is on now, the Lost Green Valley. Certainly, it won't necessarily give you the exact idea of Thompson because the website focuses on the area itself rather than just Thompson, but it does help give a better perspective to the character of this part of the state. So always a good resource to explore as well.
Also on the Last Green Valley page, there's a map of Thompson with points of interest that has been updated and is very accurate. Tells you what's at different locations throughout. You may have to play around a little bit with the zoom in, zoom out to find some of them at their accurate location, but Leanne has done a nice job with that.
This is Paul. I noticed on thing it is at 10 a.m.
No, that's a different walk. That even though that's the same speaker, that's not our walk. That's a later one.
I've got
There's
the
ours.
There you go.
It's the same
There
day.
you go.
I've got the Walktober brochure, and it says the Great Thompson Train Wreck 1:30.
There you go.
Okay.
Same
And then
speaker,
it also
Paul.
says it repeats on 10/13
That's correct.
at noon on 10/13.
So Joe, there are going to be two walks at the same location. One's at 10:30 for the ghost train, and one's at 1:30. It's the
No,
same
the
day.
other walk is 40 miles away.
The ghost train is in Chaplin, Connecticut.
All right, and that's the same day, though, right?
Yes, at 10 o'clock.
A competing ghost train? So the 10th and the 13th, it sounds like.
Yeah. And on the 13th, do they have a time? What time was it on?
It says noon.
Noon on the 13th. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for all of that investigation, everyone. Very helpful. So I don't want to, I want to make sure to keep this meeting as on time as possible. So I think the one thing that two big points of consideration as we continue to develop this workshop are one, just really enhancing that interactive component here and getting feedback, and then also thinking pretty hard about who our audiences are and being really targeted with our outreach. We want to make sure we get perspectives from all ages and demographics of the community and of the users. So really, digging into our own network and resources, as well as thinking about how to reach audiences that wouldn't otherwise be engaged. Thinking about specifically perhaps high school students, how we can cater this to their needs and really to cater their perspectives and anything of the like. So certainly we want to keep gathering audience profiles and ideas. So share away if you have any of those.
Yeah, so, and I would just add in that we know we will have to talk to the Department of Transportation, and for the Yukon folks, you may know the Airline State Park Trail is a state park. So that means we have to run everything that we come up with past DEEP, which is the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So we will have to work with them as well. And then I would just say, if you know a scout group, a youth group, someone, an organization that would be interested in taking our workshop and giving feedback, we would love to connect with them.
Yeah, and even with our UConn students, if you have any, if you know of any organizations or clubs at school, or you're a part of any that this is relevant to, if you're, part of an outdoors club, or you just know several folks who are trail users, certainly that is absolutely relevant here as well. We'd love to have their opinions.
Just in terms of a practical question for the student team, the shape of your semester, and when you think you're going to, what kind of time you're going to be dedicating to this, and what kind of schedule you want to keep. If you're going to be involved on the presentation end, what would be a practical time frame to pull you into this, and what kind of role would you imagine for yourselves?
I'm not sure about like everybody collectively, but like for most of us, like Tuesdays is like our like meeting day for like our capstone class basically. So we basically have the most time then.
Okay.
And then like Wednesday late, like right now, was pretty good for everybody as well.
But just in terms of the length of your semester, so your first semester ends sometime in December. So just in terms of the progress that you would like to put into the project before coming into the presentation, like at what point do you want to be? How far along? How much background work do you want to do before you come in to be a part of it? And like I say, how much of a part of it do you want to have? I mean, I would envision it as presenting some of the design options, since you guys are essentially a design team. But Steph has done some of that too. So, where do you see you guys? I know that from last year's team, their first semester was more producing a report, and then their second semester was producing more of the actual drafting that they did for us. And I guess Nick had implied that was more or less the way it's always structured. So like I said, just give us a sense of how you see it all fitting together for you.
It should be a similar structure to like previous years. As in like our first semester, it's going to be a lot like report based and us writing stuff. For the second semester, we haven't had as much like insight to what we're actually doing yet. So it's more, we'll probably be like discussing this after this meeting with each other in our group.
So would you say that it's fair to posit that what might be useful for you guys as a part of this is to do some of the information gathering, like maybe lead some of the questioning for workshop participants in terms of what their priorities are?
I'd say we could probably do that, but I also want to hear the opinion from the other group members as well.
Yeah, that sounds definitely reasonable. I just to forward kind of what Josh is saying, I'm just taking a look at our syllabus for this semester, and it seems to be pretty consistent with last year's, where our main goal for this semester is kind of to put together like a written proposal and present that to you as well as our instructor. And then I guess most of the design work would be happening next semester.
Awesome, and I think that makes sense in terms of, we hope that this workshop will gather some substantial information for you guys to do some of that writing. So that I think that makes sense on our end. And if you want to reach out to any of us about exactly how we can be of help in that, or how we can best mesh those ideas into your writing. Certainly happy to have those conversations.
And I would just add too, if you all need some information for your process, so if you do have questions, please let us know so we can add those either to the workshop, or we can get in touch with folks that can help us figure out that information for you all.
Definitely. If you feel like we're not asking some questions in this workshop that would give you information you really need for your final product, we definitely want to make sure those are added in.
All right, I think since we're just about at 8:30 here and people are probably starting to get sleepy, maybe it's time to wrap up for tonight. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for your participation and for all the work you've sent me over the past few months. It's been a pleasure kind of putting this all together and talking with you all tonight. And so for next steps, Elizabeth and I will take a look at this workshop outline and refine it a bit, and then put together a draft presentation. And then I'll be working on the concepts, and we'll be meeting with Tira on the phone to go over everything pretty soon. So you will be hearing from us, and we'll plan to have another meeting like this probably in about a month.
Mm-hmm. And
actually, let me just interject. If we're planning on doing this workshop in the fall, we are in October, essentially. I'm all that flopping noise was my stupid flip-flops going up and down the stairs. I think it's probably worthwhile to consider dates now, not least because my calendar fills up so quickly. And I'm going to toss one out there of Tuesday, the 17th of November. Because when does your first semester end, Huskies?
First semester ends like at the so how, because of COVID, how the semester is going to work is that like right when we start Thanksgiving break, we're going fully online, but the semester is going to end like the first week of December.
So does that imply that you would actually want to have a workshop earlier than that so that you would have time to do a final report?
I think that would work out better, yeah.
Then I'm looking at Monday, the 9th of November, or you said Mondays aren't good for you.
They're not the best for any of us, really.
Okay. So how does Tuesday, the 10th of November sound? And also to obviously the other members of the group, but I have my Bible-like day book with me.
That is awesome for me.
Yeah, that works for me. And we can just make sure to send out like a doodle poll for times and stuff to make sure that people are available and figure out that exact time of day.
I may have a bit of a problem. I've got a conflict with the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting on that, but don't stop it just for me. I can work with communicating with people in advance of that. I'd be happy to. So even if I cannot, I could probably have 2 Zoom meetings going at the same time, but wetlands is pretty demanding.
Yeah, I mean, because if we go, the week before that, I'm on vacation, right? So if I'm a presenter, I can't be involved. And then the week before that is the week before Halloween, but that is only 3.5 weeks from now. So that seems tight to me. I'm looking at this week of the 9th of November and thinking that's probably the only realistic week. And if it's got to be a Tuesday or a Wednesday, Wednesday is Veterans Day. So town employees won't be working. Not that we're meeting in person, So we could do it on Veterans Day, but I think that it is probably better to plan for Tuesday, the 10th.
And we don't want to plan anything for the 3rd of November. All of us need to be involved in our own ways then.
Yeah, I will guarantee you that nobody is planning anything for the 3rd of November.
I also think we got to know our audience. People would not come to our workshop.
Does anybody have anything else before we wrap up? I mean, I think we had a good overview and good feedback tonight, especially anything from the student team, since they are brand new to us and may have more questions.
I think all of our
That sounds like
questions have been answered so far. So
Awesome. And feel free to reach out to any of us if you have more questions or you want to clarify about anything about our role or just how this project was developed. So we're here for all of that.
So I have a question on the meeting on the 9th of November or the 10th of November.
10th of November, yeah.
So is that going to be, we need to get our presentations ready for that date? Is that what I hear?
Yes.
That would be for the workshop. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We plan to all convene in another meeting prior to that date, though. So this won't be the last time we work on planning this.
Okay.
All righty. Anything else before we close out tonight?
I have one other thing. Just one more thing. For all the UConn students, it might be nice you could go to our website and there's, the whole train rec thing is a nice, the documentation that we have for at the site. It's all online. You can kind of walk through that, and it explains the train wreck and shows you all the pictures of that. And that's in the Thompson Historical Site, and it's under collections. It'll say East Thompson train wreck.
I'm pulling up the link now.
Okay.
East Thompson train wreck. I will put that in the chat window. There it is.
Oh, I thought you were going to open it.
No, everybody's tired, Paul. They can open it on their own.
All right, everybody.
Good night.
Wrap.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, good meeting, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.